Before you sign up for nursing school or advance your degree in nursing in 2026, you need to understand something because the rules just changed. The loan cap limits are locked in. The reclassification conversation that I've been having is very real, and the financial math behind advanced nursing just shifted seemingly overnight. For years, the message was the exact same. Go to nursing school, advance your degree, become a nurse practitioner or CRNA. You'll make more money and everything else will work itself out. But starting in July 2026, the math doesn't make sense anymore. It's not the same because the Department of Education has now capped the borrowing limit to $20,500 per year for graduate programs. And when you compare that to the cost of many nurse practitioner and CRNA programs across America, suddenly there's a massive financial gap that we have to talk about. So today, I want to walk you through something that's completely different. And no, it is not don't go to nursing school or don't become a CRNA or a nurse practitioner. It's not that, but the actual strategy that I would use if I were starting nursing school in 2026. Because if you play this strategy right, if you play it smart, you can still build a powerful career in healthcare without the financial burden. You just can't follow the old blueprint like we used to. And if you're new here, my name is Naisha Nicole. And if you've seen my face before, you already know that we are 100% locked in. So welcome back to the channel. So let's start with the part that no one wants to say out loud, but you guys know that I will. Graduate nursing education in the United States of America has become extremely expensive. I'm just calling it like I see it. Most nurse practitioner programs now cost somewhere between $35,000 and $50,000 per year, and some even higher. So if you are a nurse practitioner, put in the comments how much your program actually costs. But under the federal structure, the new borrowing limit for graduates are now capped at $30,000 or $20,500 per year. So let's run the math. If your program, let's say, cost about $40,000 per year, that means that you'll be short about $20,000 every single year. And if your program lasts for 3 years, like now most programs last, that gap can easily be about $60,000 or more. So where does that extra money come from? You really only have about 3 options. You either saved for it in advance. Option number 2 is that you maybe have your employer help cover some of the costs. That's the second one. Or the third one is you go into the private loan market. And the problem with you going into the private loan market is that the interest rates for graduate education often sit somewhere between 12 and 15%. Which means that if you borrow privately, that could reach up to $100,000. And the reason why this matters is because you could easily spend years just trying to escape the interest alone. That's why the math matters. Because of a degree gives you, let's say, a $30,000 salary increase. Let's just say it, right? But you're borrowing $120,000 just to get it. You are actually not advancing financially. You're not. You're just transferring your future income to the lender. And essentially, you will be working for free for 5 years. If you really sit down and do the math, for your first 5 years of your career, for that $30,000 increase, you'll be working for free. That's just what it is. And the thing that gets me is the compassion trap. Healthcare has a unique, what I would call, dynamic to it. Many people enter the profession because they genuinely want to help people. And I actually saw that in a comment that I read from my last video about, you know, if you're going to be a nurse, you need to genuinely want to do it because you want to help people. And I do believe that most people, not all, but most people genuinely want to help people. And that motivation is beautiful, but sometimes the system rely on that very same compassion. They rely on the fact that nurses care enough to sacrifice. They sacrifice their time, their energy, and sometimes even sacrifice their financial stability. So people sign these loans believing it'll work out later. That's what they think when they sign up for these loans. But later sometimes turn into decades and decades of repayment. That's what I call the compassion trap. That's what I call it, where your desire to serve people is used to justify financial decisions that don't actually serve you. Helping people should never require destroying your financial future. And that's why strategy matters right now. And that's why I'm talking about this, because it does matter. So the big question is, if I were starting nursing school in 2026, what would I do? I would approach it very differently than the traditional path. And I've been down the traditional path, and I'm telling you, I would approach it differently. Step 1, and write this down so that you can actually use this. I would start with the ADN first. That's what I would do. I would go the ADN route. The associate's degree in nursing is still one of the most cost-efficient ways to enter the profession. You can go the community college route because these programs can be dramatically cheaper than a traditional university pathway. You can go the ADN route. There's different programs within your state, and you have to look it up. You know, there's ECPI and there's other schools that you can look at that will allow you to enter the workforce faster at a lesser cost to you. And that's what matters most. Step 2, I would start working as an RN, because that experience is going to matter for you. And then I would research first and find a RN to BSN program that can be completed in less than 1 year. And they're out there and they're relatively cheap. So rewind. You get your ADN first, right? And then I wanted to mention this. There are some states, I think like Tennessee, if you go to like their community college or go to a technical school, like your education is free when you do take that route. So that's what I would do if you're in one of those states that offer that. Otherwise, you might be looking at getting that 2-year degree at a cost of maybe $3,000 to $6,000. On the higher end. Okay, so once you have your degree, you're going to start working as a registered nurse. I would find, again, a RN to BSN program that can be completed in less than a year. Many hospitals offer tuition assistance or tuition reimbursement for these programs, which means that you can advance your degree while earning income at the same time. And there are some programs that you can pay, like Western Governors, I think, or maybe even Capella, where you can actually complete the whole entire program in less than 6 months. And I think that that's valuable because 1, you're going to be earning income at the same time. Number 2, the cost of getting that degree is not going to bankrupt you, and you can actually plan it out. Now, here's where the strategy becomes important. Instead of rushing immediately into graduate school, I would pause. I would gain the experience. I would start stacking certifications. I would get, maybe if you want to start off with med surg, I would maybe look into moving into the ICU so you can get a critical care certification, because these certifications can dramatically increase your value without requiring massive loans. And most jobs will pay for you to get your certification. So examples, like I said, might include specializing in critical care, emergency nursing, maybe informatic or leadership pathways or quality improvement, whichever way you want to go. But I will say this, the more knowledge and expertise that you build, the more leverage you gain inside of a system. And leverage is power. The BSN power play is this. There's like a reality that many people, I think, overlook. You can build a very strong career without immediately pursuing a master's degree. You can. Many experienced people that have a BSN or BSN prepared nurses move into leadership roles, education roles, clinical specialization, hospital administration, consulting, quality and safety initiatives. Like, there's so many different things you can do under that nursing realm. And those roles often come from experience and expertise, not just additional degrees. So I don't want to sit up here and make it seem like I'm promoting additional degrees. So you don't necessarily have to get more of a degree. So the BSN level actually can become a strategic holding position for a lot of people. You gain experience, you increase your value, and you wait. That's simply what it is, because the education market behaves like every other market. If you look at the stock market, if you look at the housing market, it behaves the exact same way. If the demand drops, prices will eventually adjust. It always will. So while the institutions may not drop their prices immediately, if these institutions notice that their nursing enrollment is dropping dramatically, like people aren't going for these nurse practitioner and CRNA degrees, prices eventually will have to adjust to that. And if federal loan limits slow down graduate enrollment, we may eventually see tuition pressure shift. We may see that. I don't know for sure, but that to me would be the only way that these institutions will lower the tuition price. If people actually get strategic and stop jumping to go to graduate school to get their MSN or get their DNP or become nurse practitioners or, CRNAs, which to me can often open up different opportunities for later. So here's how you can advance your degree if you really, really want to. If you are a person that's like, I know that I want to be a nurse practitioner. Like, I can remember back when I got my BSN, I already knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be a nurse practitioner, and I knew I wanted to do cardiology. I knew it off of the rip. I've known it for a very long time. So if you decide to pursue an advanced degree, here's how you're going to do it. These are the three most important things that you need to remember as you decide to advance your degree. First, employer sponsorship. Many hospital systems offer tuition reimbursement or educational pathways for advanced degrees. And I would look into every single option that might be out there. The second way is federal workforce agencies and grants. You can look at the HRSA program where you can get an advanced degree as long as you agree to work in a rural or underserved area. The same thing with looking at employment in those underserved areas. A lot of times they offer money back without you going through a program like HRSA and getting sponsorship through them. You can actually go and work at underserved communities and get an advanced degree, or they will pay for you to get an advanced degree. And number three is bridge programs. Sometimes the RN to MSN structure might reduce the total cost of the actual program and time compared to the traditional route. So I would look at all of those things. And the key point to this is if a program requires massive private borrowing, that's a signal to me for you to slow down and not rush. The other thing is, if you want to advance your degree, I would look in-state first, because that's always where you're going to get the cheapest cost. I would look at the in-state universities all around the state. And because sometimes if you go out of state, you might be paying, $25,000, $35,000, $40,000 per year. But if you stay in state, it might be something where you only pay $10,000 per year, which is a little bit more palatable, and it fits within that federal borrowing limit. So I would definitely look into that. And so, there's this bigger shift, I believe, that's happening. And the thing about it is I understand that it's not just healthcare. It's not. But right now in healthcare, many professionals are reevaluating how their careers fit into this larger system. Some people are, doubling down inside of healthcare, and that's cool. And others are expanding into like leadership roles, expanding into business, technology, education. And, that's why I've been, open talking about what I call the corporate exit. That's why I've been talking about it, because I've seen it. I see it up close and personal every single day, where I see successful women and men back out of the career after so many years, because it's just too much, because the future of work is changing across multiple industries, not just healthcare. And the important thing is, whatever direction that you choose, you want to make the decision strategically. Don't make it off of you feeling burnout at the bedside, because sometimes what happens is you work at the bedside for several years, you have a really, really bad week or day or month, and then you make these emotional decisions. And if you feel like you have to make an emotional decision, you need to pause. Every decision that you make, all the way from getting your ADN to becoming a BSN prepared nurse to getting your MSN, it needs to be strategic, not emotional, not under pressure, and definitely not under financial stress created by massive loans. Nursing is still a very powerful profession. It really is. It still creates opportunities. It still changes lives, but the system around nursing is evolving. And when the system changes, strategies must change too. So if you are going to enter nursing in 2026, or you're considering your next steps in healthcare, don't just follow the old blueprint. No. Understand the numbers, understand your numbers, more importantly, protect your leverage, and make decisions that serve both your purpose and your future. And I'm curious about something. If you're in nursing right now, do you think that the financial side of nursing is changing and we'll see a nursing shortage, or do you think that this entire conversation is being overblown? Let me know in the comments. Drop your thoughts. I read each and every last one of them, and I reply to as many as I can. I appreciate you guys so much. My name is Naisha Nicole. I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.